What about Weekend Update? The anchors, the guests. It's time to rank the Weekend Update casts and characters on the second episode of the Saturday Night Review, and that starts now.
Live from Nipso Production Studios in the heart of America, it's Saturday Night Review, a podcast dedicated to the television show Saturday Night Live. With your hosts, Joseph and Denis. And here's Denis.
Oh, yes. Welcome, one and all, to the second episode of the Saturday Night Review. He is Joseph.
And he is Denis, or as I like to call him, Denis. Ladies, does that remind you of anything?
Oh, Denis with a D, yes. And this is a YouTube podcast devoted to one of our favorite shows of all time, Saturday Night Live. And we had so much fun doing the first one, we figured, hey, why not do another one?
And we don't want to let our 10 viewers down. 10, wow.
Yes, especially your grandma. Hey, how is grandma, by the way?
Handsy and racist toward people of Irish descent, so about the same, really.
Well, God love her anyway. So, my little Joey Bear of happiness, what can the rare listener expect on this episode of Saturday Night Review?
Oh, Denis, you know I love it when you call me that. It's my pleasure to share with you guys what we're going to be expecting in the second episode of the Saturday Night Review. So we are recording this episode in August, and we're still weeks away prior to the actual premiere of the Saturday Night Live, the 43rd, 44th season. And so we're going to be looking at the last 43 seasons, so it would be the 44th season, 43 seasons, and we've compiled a list of our own personal favorites from the Weekend Update. So we each made a list of top 5 favorite Weekend Update anchors, along with our all-time top favorite characters, which should be interesting. And we're ready to present them for discussion, for argument, which will probably inevitably lead to our separation, only to reunite 20 years later until, one of us puts something racist on Twitter. And so, possible disappointment. So we'll see what the fans think. But first, let's take a look at SNL in the news with our new own reporter, Denis.
Yeah, hey, I want to remind everybody that we are educators, and Joseph does not teach math. Okay, so just want to remind you of that real quick. It is time for the Saturday Night Review. Saturday Night Review news, where we look out into the real world and find tasty little treats of SNL humor, news, and scandal. Well, maybe not scandal. I mean, we aren't a couple of sleazy paparazzi photographers hanging outside Kate McKinnon's apartment. I swear that is not me. I can count to where I've been. That was not me looking in her window. I swear to God I wasn't taking pictures of Kate McKinnon.
And yet right now, every time I hear that bit from you, you start sweating, which makes me wonder. A little bit. Yeah. So that's a little suspicious, D.
I'm sorry. I will focus, though. Apparently, in the news, our favorite weekend sketch program was given 21 nominations for the 2018 Emmys, including a whopping 9 citations for acting. Acting citation sounds like they got pulled over and they got a citation. Here's your citation for acting. Nominated cast members for 2018 include Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, baby Adie Bryant, and Kenan Thompson, who is in his 15th season at Saturday Night Live. On top of recurring guests Alec Baldwin, guest host Donald Glover, Tina Fey, Tiffany Haddish, and Bill Hader. All of them were spectacular on the show. Also, there are many alums who have moved on to other projects that were nominated. Others include Tina Fey for producing The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, Bill Hader for starring in, writing, and directing, producing Barry, Larry David for starring in Curb Your Enthusiasm, Maya Rudolph and Molly Shannon for the respective guest spots on The Good Place and Will and Grace. Love Will and Grace. Seth Meyers for writing on his late night show, and Jimmy Fallon for producing his short for Variety series, and John Mulaney and Martin Short for writing their own Variety specials. So, to those people, we say congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause.
Yay!
That's awesome. It's the first acting nominations for Thompson and Bryant, who have been on the series since 2003 and 2012. Thompson since 2003. I'll let that sink in. He is 15 years in the business at Saturday Night Live. He's nominated for Best Comedy Supporting Actor with Baldwin, last year's winner, while Bryant is nominated alongside McKinnon and Jones in the Best Comedy Supporting Actors category, where McKinnon has won 2 years running because she's awesome. Jones was also nominated last year. Saturday Night Live is, of course, the favorite to win the Best Variety Sketch Series again, considering the show has more nominations than its 5 competitors combined, and that is At Home with Amy Sedaris, Drunk History, I Love You America, Portlandia, and Tracy Ullman Show. It may be no coincidence that this year's hosts are Colin Jost and Michael Che. Speaking of them, we'll get to them in a minute, but not bad for a show considered past in its prime, right, Josephus?
I don't really subscribe to that notion, and I never have, because they said the same thing about Travolta in the early 90s, and he went on to do an iconic, classic White Man's Burden, and the rest was Scientology history. So, in my opinion, I never go with that. But
did you just say White Man's Burden on this show?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Just checking. Well, and before the last article for news is this. Speaking of the Weekend Update hosts from before, and we just were, we do have below in our comment section, we're going to put a video link to a YouTube video, and we strongly encourage you to click on that link because it's a video done recently where Michael Che and Colin Yost, the hosts of Weekend Update, both did a lie detector test for Vanity Fair.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good. It's a really funny video, isn't it?
It is. And I just want to give, a little forewarns for those of them, like me, expecting to hear something titillating about Scarlett Johansson, but nothing alluding to that. It's just strictly Colin and it's strictly Mike. So, wah, wah.
Yeah, but it was Colin looking at a particular part of Michael that we won't go into, but
yes.
Or not, we don't know. It's really funny. It's rather long, but it's well worth it. We'll put that underneath our video for sure. Yeah, good stuff. And hey, speaking of the Weekend Update hosts, let's take a break and find out who we think are the top 5 hosts all time in the history of Weekend Update. And when we get our do you have your list?
I always have my list.
Okay, I gotta find where I left mine. Okay, we'll be right back after this break. I'm sorry, I thought I had my list.
I wish you were better at things.
It's the second one. You think I'd figure it out by now, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
You are watching and listening to Saturday Night Review on the Nipso Productions YouTube channel.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell. Thank you, Bruce.
Hey, sports fans, we're back.
Hey, Josephus.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, before you start, and I know we want to get on this thing about, Weekend Update and hosts and all that, and the anchors. But before we do, your grandma who's listening, I know she's listening because she's the only listener we have. Did you have like a catchy, cute name for her or something?
Yeah. Well, actually, we have cute nicknames for each other. So she called me Snookums, and I call her Ellen Hall.
Ellen Hall? What kind of name was Ellen Hall?
Well, she likes to keep it professional, so she didn't like to keep... So just call me Ellen Hall by my Christian name. That's what she wanted, so... What do you call your grandma?
Oh, I don't call her anything. She's dead. So, but I'll go get a tissue while you continue with the start of the second section here. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So we're back for the second episode of the Saturday Night Review. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking around. We would love to hear more about what you, Grandma, and the 10 other viewers think about, I don't know, about anything really. Effective dandruff shampoos, where we go when we die. So either comment down below this YouTube video, pointer finger down, or email us at nipsoproductions.com. or I'm sorry, nipsoproductions@gmail.com. You'll get something completely pornographic if you put the first one in. And let us know what you think. So now I have the challenge, viewers, Dennis, of inciting people with a little bit of background behind the weekend update, which is actually pretty fascinating.
History.
Yeah, it's got a pretty interesting history. So before we reveal our top 5 weekend update best anchors of all time, we want to let you know that the history behind it was Chevy Chase, an SNL writer, Herb Sargent, appeared on the SNL broadcast on October 11th, 1975. That was 20 years after Dennis was born, if I'm correct, right?
No.
No,
I was
no,
alive, but I
no,
wasn't.
no. See, I'm just guessing numbers now, man. So
I was alive barely. No.
Yeah, so those of you who are familiar, Chase was the one that popularized the sayings, or the catchphrases, if you will. I'm Chevy Chase, and you're not. And he repeated the announcement, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead.
That was my favorite. And
I
he would
love
say,
that
like, at times, this just in, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is valiantly holding on to remain dead. I used to love that. That was my favorite. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I love it. No. So when the update began, Chase was consistently on the phone, if you remember, presumably talking to his lover, and he would talk until he was realizing that was on air, which would kind of always get a good laugh from the audience.
Yes.
Then he'd always end Weekend Update with, that's the news, good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow. Since then, many different hosts and combination of hosts have manned the Weekend Update chairs, and we're going to discuss those momentarily. Before we reveal our own top 5, we have to let our viewers know that, similar to what we did last time, we compared our list with others compiled by other people. However, this time it was not Rolling Stone. Surprise!
Yay!
This time it was from a post from vulture.com on May 18th, 2014, called A Complete Ranking of Saturday Night Live Weekend Update Anchors. We could have researched better, Dennis. We could have. But we're back in school, and we want to leave the hard work for the students, right?
Absolutely.
So here is the Vulture list that was compiled, and we're going down from 5 to 1 like usual. Number 5, coming in at number 5, and looking at these are all pretty stellar in my opinion.
Yes, they really are.
Some more stellar than others, but number 5 we have Jimmy Fallon and Tina Fey. Number 4 we have Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd. Number 3 we have Norm Macdonald. 2 we have Faye again and Amy Poehler. And then number 1, we have Dennis Miller. Miller.
Che. Dennis Miller at the top. This list is shorter than Napoleon Bonaparte sitting in the bottom of a tank of oil.
Okay, babe.
Cha-cha.
Okay, right? Cha-cha, babe. Right, okay. I don't know what I like more, Dennis Miller or Dana Carvey doing Dennis Miller.
That's a good question.
And you know what I'm referring to when he would do his impressions on there.
Oh, yeah.
So Dennis, please allow me to give you my list, if you will.
Please. I'm all ears.
Okay. This is where you and I separate ways, by the way, because we're going to completely disagree on these, I'm sure.
Of course.
Number 5, going in reverse order. I did have Miller. And looking back at some of the videos, looking back at some of the articles, I want to say that with the exception of Seth, he might be the longest running. I think he went from 85 to 90 or something like that.
He might be.
Second longest. I'll say second longest. So I put Miller up there.
Okay.
For the reasons that we kind of just alluded to just now. His kind of sardonic, kind of snarky, sarcastic way with delivering. I liked his delivery a lot. I loved
his laugh too, a high pitch.
Yes. Yeah.
That he would crack himself up or whatever. He'd do something so dumb that he would laugh at himself. I love that.
Yeah. Coming in at 4, and this is the one that was kind of a tough one for me because I wanted to put this person higher, and at one point I wanted to put them down on the list. Kevin Nealon, and the reason I loved Kevin Nealon was because I liked specifically growing up. This is kind of he was there. What was it? 90 to 94, I want to say.
Something like that.
He was there for Sandler. He was there for Farley because he did a lot of the Bennett Brower stuff. If you remember.
Oh yes.
He did Opera Man with Opera Man. He did specifically. I remember specifically cracking up at Adam Sandler's Sweatshirt song.
Oh yes.
Yes. And he was the one that dip dip dip, and then Paul McCartney was in the audience.
Yeah.
So I kind of looking back on it, I favored his interaction with the characters that would come on. So I put Nealon at number 4. Number 3, Tina Fey and Jimmy Fallon. Tina Fey and Jimmy Fallon. I will say this. I think between this duo, powerhouse though they may be, I'm favoring Tina Fey probably a little bit more than Jimmy. Only for the fact I felt that, I don't know what it is about Tina Fey, but she's just smart humor. She's smart, and I liked her delivery. I liked the interaction between the two of them. So I put them at 3.
I just wonder, it was Tina's idea. And they ran downstairs to 30 Rock. They ran downstairs to every studios, and they kind of did a couple walkthroughs just to see how their chemistry was. I wonder what would have become of Jimmy Fallon had he not done the news with Tina Fey. I don't know.
That is a completely valid thing, and honestly, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know
but
that.
I just wonder if she had not brought him in, and you could see him in the seasons getting more confident when he was doing that. So I just wonder if that really kind of brought him out of the shell. Maybe not. Maybe would have anyway. But I like that pairing as well, for sure.
Right. I'd also like to see Tina Fey host the Tonight Show at some point, but that's neither.
The Tonight
Show?
Time.
The Tonight Show. That
would be cool. That would be cool.
I mean, I'm kidding. Just it would be
as
good
a guest
though.
host.
As a guest host, yeah. So number 2, gonna do kind of a repeat, and this is weird. So I think we need to explain to the viewers. If you look at the sequence or the lineage, if you will, of the Weekend Update anchors, there's some doubles here. So
sure.
I'm going to double dip here, and I'm going to say Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are my number 2, because when Fallon, dude, your history here. I think when Fallon left, Fallon was replaced with Poehler.
Yes.
And then when Fey left, she was replaced with Myers, if I'm correct.
I believe you're correct.
Which, perfect segue. My number 1 all-time Weekend Update anchors, Seth Meyers and Amy Poehler. Seth Meyers and Amy Poehler. So, and again, and this is where you're going to give me your list, and there are going to be, all 43 years represented equally, whereas, I'm representing the last.
Don't get too excited about that.
25. So that's my list, man. Let's hear it.
That's very nice. Joseph, you're an ignorant slut. No. My list, there were only, if I remember right, there were only 17 options here, because it's not on for 43 years, but a lot of the hosts on the news go 4 or 5 seasons, a little longer. So there's not a lot to choose from here. So there are a lot of repeats. And ironically, the first repeat we have is at number 5. I had Dennis Miller.
Oh, wow.
At number 5. I had to have him in the list. I probably should. It's one of those that if I had thought about it, I would probably put him higher. Yeah. But I did put Dennis Miller on the list just because, again, it seemed to really take off when he was there. The news did. And to me, growing up, that was one of the newscasters I couldn't wait to see.
Yeah.
I waited to see Dennis Miller's news before I went to bed when I was younger. And to see, so for me, that's my number 5, and that's why. My number 4 is Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd.
Okay.
I put them on because they kind of took what Chevy did and they brought it. Chevy again was the Godfather, but Jane and Dan kind of took it to the next level. The point counterpoint. Yeah. And I really like Jane Curtin. I almost put Jane Curtin by herself, but I think Dan brought another side to it, and really kind of helped it go a lot further than just where Chevy had it. Chevy started it, and I think Jane and Dan really helped make it a permanent fixture.
Okay, yeah.
For my number 3, I have Jimmy Fallon and Tina Fey. A great combo. They a lot of ribbing between each other. You felt like it was a brother and sister telling you the news. There's just Tina Fey's just spectacular as the newscaster on the show.
Yes,
I mean, that was her strength, no doubt about it. At my number 2, I have Seth Meyers at number 2. Again,
solo Seth Meyers?
Yes, solo Seth Meyers.
Gotcha.
Again, look forward to Seth Meyers doing the news, even to the point where he's on his new show, and sometimes I will try to record just the first few minutes just to see him do his little news updates. Yep. He's taking that with him. I think he was spectacular. Him and Amy were spectacular as well, especially with the Really, which is one of my favorite segments of all time.
I love Really, Dennis.
Yeah, I love Really news.
Yep.
But I gave it just to Seth, and my number 1 is Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. I don't think you're going to find a more powerful pair of female anchors real news or fake news in the history of broadcasting. They were spectacular together. They played off each other.
Yeah.
By that time, Tina was on a major role, and Amy was just, I mean, it was spectacular to watch them work.
Totally.
To kid each other, to kid the people that were on, they were both just brash and in your face. And one of my favorite moments all time is when Tina is talking about how bitch is the new black. And and Amy just looks over and goes, yep, like, you've been warned. Like, she just, she's right there with her. And every time I think of them, I think of that little sketch, and I laugh and laugh about bitch is the new black.
Yes.
And that was the time where Tina was doing a lot more that kind of thing. She was doing a lot more kind of editorial work on the news. She's getting a lot more brash, and she had Amy right there with her the whole time. So there's my all-time favorite hosts. Some that we did not mention, and there are a lot of them.
And this is going to be interesting. I can't wait to hear what you say.
Well, nobody had neither one of us had Norm Macdonald, and he is often on like a top 3 for everybody.
He is, yeah.
I like Norm. I think Norm may have been 6 for me, but I don't know. I don't know. I think a lot of people got him because he's edgy, and he was edgy.
He was. He also got
me,
fired, though, apparently.
Yeah, he also got fired, and that's a big deal, Right, and I like the thing about Germans don't like Germans like David Hasselhoff or whatever that was, Chevy Chase should have been maybe a top 5 for just starting the whole thing off and doing it so well that it did become a regular thing. For me, somebody that I was not a fan of was Colin Quinn.
Oh, I didn't know. No,
I've never found Colin Quinn funny on anything, and I hate to be that critical, but to me personally, I've never found Colin Quinn funny. He always looks like a guy that you brought off the streets of New York and threw him on stage, and he doesn't know what he's doing there, and why is he there, and when do I get paid so I can go home?
And I specifically remember, like, the thing about Colin was, if you look in comparison to Seth and some of the people that were on our list, I always felt like Colin, when he would deliver something, people didn't know, like, there wasn't a whole, like it was like open mic night, and he wasn't wasn't connecting. He wasn't hitting,
He wasn't. There was a lot of silence after some of his things.
Yeah.
And I felt that way about Kevin Nealon too, but I would have ranked Nealon higher than Quinn because I think Nealon, first off, he was in that group with all those amazing people, like you said.
Right.
And to hold his own, and he had to find his niche in that group, and I think that was his best niche, was doing the weekend update. So I would have had him higher than Colin Quinn, but for me, Colin Quinn, I just never understood. So
Same.
Yeah. So is there anybody else that you thought that maybe should have been on the list that you took off and on? And
no, and this one, like I said, it was kind of tough, but I mean, like you said, you're only dealing with I didn't even think it was 17, really.
It's not that many.
I mean, it's not that many. So, I mean, if you look at our list, I mean, we kind of had, I think we had all of but one similarity, really, I think.
Yeah, we really did. And we want to know what you think, America. Don't forget to leave the comments underneath this video of who you think was the best update host segments or guest anchors on the show. No. I think my wife might have used the back of my list of weekend update characters to make out our groceries.
There's definitely got to be some renegotiating of contracts here, man. And
there's going to have to be.
I think it should stipulate that you should be prepared and competent.
I know. It's only our second show, but you think I would figure this out. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and I'll go in the kitchen to look for it, and we'll come back with our top 5 all-time weekend update characters. I promise I'll be right back. I'm so embarrassed for myself.
I hope it's a promise you can keep, man.
Well,
we
need
Bush
groceries.
League.
We've got to have milk. I just know that. I know that we have to.
You are watching and listening to Saturday Night Review on the Nipso Productions YouTube channel.
Well, isn't that special?
Hey, welcome back. Although, did you really leave? Probably not. All right. Well, after crossing off broccoli and cantaloupe off my wife's grocery list, I have indeed found my top 5 all-time weekend update characters. Again, JoJo and I are comparing our top 5 with a YouTube video from WatchMojo.com entitled Top 10 SNL Weekend Update Characters. And here is their top 5 weekend update characters of all time. They had Garth and Kat at number 5, Roseanne Dana at number 4, Opera Man at 3, Drunk Uncle at 2, and Stefan at 1. That is a really good list.
Yeah.
And this was very difficult, Joseph, because
yeah.
there's so many that we will talk about afterwards that did not make our list, I'm sure. And when I started to list characters that were like honorable mention, I got such a huge list. So we'll see. But here's mine. My top 5 Weekend Update characters. And this was something like we did when we did our favorite male and female cast members. I had to just do it and set it aside, because if I kept looking at it, I was going to change everything every day. So this list was made a while ago, and I just have kept it. At number 5, I went way back to one of the first really funny characters to ever be on Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update, and that was Garrett Morris as the hearing impaired translator.
Oh,
and
that's good.
I love it
good.
because he would say, our top story tonight, and then Garrett would scream, "Our top story tonight!" And I just thought that was brilliant. So had to give some love to Garrett Morris and the hearing impaired translator.
Garrett Morris, man.
Garrett Morris. Yeah. At number 4, a guy who didn't make my list of favorite cast members, but now looking back, and we talked about this on the last show, we love what he does on the Weekend Update. He should probably make our list. Drunk Uncle is number 4.
Ooh.
Bobby Moynihan. Drunk Uncle is one of those you can't look away, and I absolutely love Drunk Uncle. He had to grow on me a little bit, but the more he was on, the more I laughed. So
okay, yeah,
I gave Drunk Uncle number 4. At number 3, I went with Rosanna Dana, which is played by the brilliant Gilda Radner, based on a real person, by the way. And what can you say about Rosanna Dana? That other than the fact that the girl Emma, what's her name? Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, yeah.
Emma Stone talked about playing Rosanna Dana at school when she was 10, 12 years old and getting laughs.
I love that.
Yeah, so Rosanna Dana is my number 3, and Gilda did a wonderful job of this a delightful news anchor who just had really trouble trying to stay on topic. My number 2 is really personal, and this won't make anyone's lists. And I know he's not the favorite character of all time, but he's one of those that just I've actually gone back and watched him on the old Weekend Updates on the SNL app. Which if you don't have the SNL app, you should get it.
Definitely,
but,
totally.
Riblet is my number 2.
I knew it. I knew it.
It's one of my all-time favorite characters. Again, Moynihan being genius from talking about doing somebody's job, and then turning around and just doing the news like your normal voice, and then dropping the mic and doing the dance every time. I absolutely cry every time I see it, and I'll go back and watch. I think he was only on 3 or 4 times. I've watched those at least 17 times over and over, and laugh about how I can do your job and you don't know what a fribble is. And the whole thing is just, to me, Riblet. And what I love about the most is that he does the character, and then when he goes to the news, he just drops back into Moynihan voice and does the normal voice, and then goes right back to Riblet with the mic drop. And the mic drop's always something creative, which I think is funny. And of course, number 1, does it even matter? Come on. Stefan.
Stefan,
how can Stefan not be anyone's number 1 Weekend Update character? The giggles, the laughs, the outfit, the hands on the face.
Just the writing, man. I'm telling you. Like, that writing is so obscure and random. Like,
that's what it is, obscure and random.
It works. Yeah, it works, man. It works. So that's a good list, and I'm trying to think. I think we do have some similarities here. So this is the one, Dennis, I was telling you earlier that I had some major issues with, like, second guessing myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And at the end, when you do the honorable mentions, I guarantee you're going to name at least maybe 2 of them. I'm going to go, yep, they were on there. Yep, they were on there.
I bet.
I felt this definitely had to be represented, and you put this on your list as well. This is Radner's Rosanna Dana. Yeah. This was one I felt number 1. Looking at my list, I needed a very talented lady, an iconic character, and so she was not. I know that we talked about her on the last episode, and I feel like this is, looking at the research, looking at old clips, I was like, yeah, that definitely needs to be recognized in terms of like Hall of Fame. So I put
Absolutely.
Radner's Rosanna Dana. Number 4, I had Kat and Garth. That's Armisen and Kristen Wiig.
Yep.
They always made me laugh, and I think the concept. I want to say that that's actually an improv game that I've seen played before, where you say something and the other person just says the same thing, and they turn that into something completely original and genius. Yeah, so I like that. I don't know, and this was not on your list. This one, for some reason, always got a laugh out of me, and my brother would agree with me because we still send each other these clips all the time when we can find them on YouTube. I did In the Cage with Nicolas Cage.
Yes,
Andy Samberg. And that was, I mean, I don't know how many he did. You know, one of my favorite lines, "You're a good kid, Judy Bloom."
Great pick.
Great, yeah. So I went In the Cage with Nicolas Cage, and how am I not in that movie? And then second is on your list as well. You had him as number 4, I think. Moynihan, Drunk Uncle. So I just want to say something, not about Drunk Uncle, but Moynihan. You kind of said this, or maybe you didn't, but Moynihan as a cast member, I think he specifically delivered on Update as Riblet.
Absolutely.
As Drunk Uncle.
And as that one character that always got the story wrong and went, that's not what I heard.
Did you hear about this thing?
Yeah.
Did you hear about this thing? Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Drunk Uncle. And then, of course, dude, I mean, what's the point? You know what I'm going to say. It's Stefan. It's Stefan.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be. Was he not our number 1 for the characters last episode as well?
He was. Unanimous.
And I think that says something. That character, I'm just telling you.
He's the Michael Jordan of Saturday Night Live characters, apparently.
That's such a great comparison. So there's my list, the top 5.
Excellent list.
What do you have as runners-ups?
Well, some that didn't make the list. Honorable mentions. Emily Latella. Latella, the old lady that could never get it right.
Yeah.
And, never mind. And then later would turn to Jane and go, bitch, which was awesome. And also Radner. She was that's one that I probably would have put on my list if I thought a little longer. Some newer ones. The girl you wish you hadn't started a conversation with at a party.
Is that Cicely?
With Cecily Strong.
Cecily Strong.
Spectacular.
Yeah. I love it.
She was so strong on, and I almost considered putting her and Seth Meyers on the Weekend Update crew, but she just wasn't there long enough. I think they needed her to do more than Update.
No, and I think that it took away from some of the characters that she brought.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
The girl you wish you had started a conversation with a party. You talked about Brennet Brower, the Farley quote situation, and especially the one where he was supposed to go up in the air and it got stuck, and
Nealon had to Nealon had to adjust the the rig or something like
the
that.
The wire, and he said, I'm a heavy man. I have a weight problem. Tommy Flanagan from Lovitz, the guy that lied about everything.
Liar.
And who was Morgan Fairchild was always involved in some way.
Yeah.
That's the ticket.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Supposedly, if you watch the making of those shows, I think Carvey said that Lovitz just told him, like on the plane, are you going to Saturday Night Live? Yeah, I'm going to audition. What are you going to do? Well, I got this character that lies a lot. That's about all I got. And it was Tommy Flanagan.
Oh, wow.
Kate McKinnon has given us a couple of brilliants. Judge Ginsburg, when she says that's a Ginsburg and she starts dancing, you got to love that.
Yeah, she's good.
And I personally really enjoy the Russian woman she does when she wakes up. This is how I sleep. The Russian woman is great. Really, Vanessa Bayer didn't get enough mention. Jacob the Bar Mitzvah Boy. Was really good. And really, her last 2 ones where she did the Weather Girl, I wish that one would have had a couple more appearances.
Okay.
And she actually tried. What did she drop? She dropped the cuss word it was her last night on the show.
Did she really?
Yeah. And I can't remember what exactly it was, but it was that nonsense talk, and then you heard, I don't want to say it's the F word, or I don't remember what it was. But she dropped it on her last show.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Father Guido Sarducci, which I almost put on my top 5 because there's a legendary person from the news from way back that did so many great things. Yeah. And the popes and the pizza, and he would go out in the street. And Jeff Richards, we don't even remember Jeff Richards being on the show. But one thing Jeff Richards did really well was Drunk Girl, when he is big, overweight, blonde hair, blue-eyed guy would dress in like a tube top, so you could see his stomach on purpose.
Right.
And then like the dress, and he would like sleaze all over the desk and laugh. And I ask you a question, do you think I'm pretty? Do you think I'm pretty? And I thought that was always pretty funny. Kenan Thompson doing David Ortiz, I think, is spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
We got Mofoco, Commander Rocco, Foquitos, all for Big Papi, he'd say.
Yeah, I love Kenan, dude.
I like David Ortiz was really good. And then my last honorable mention is one that I'm probably going to go to hell for liking, because it's one of those that you shouldn't laugh at, but you do. When and I'm looking at him laughing right now. When Fred Armisen did Governor Patterson from New York, and he's blind.
I didn't even consider him, man. That's a good one.
First off, the way he talked was hysterical. Yeah, and better than being in New Jersey.
Better being in And I love you saw when the actual governor came, right?
Yeah, right. And then they would do the news, and pretty soon his shadow would show up because he didn't know he was on camera. They would go like 2 stories into the news, and then here would come this big head of Fred Armisen. Yes. They go, Governor Patterson, you need, and he turned. Oh my God, you knew it was coming. And I'd sit there and I'd giggle like a little kid. I'd giggle knowing it was going to come. And here comes that big head. And at Governor Patterson, you're in the shot, and he wouldn't know. Yeah. That's awful. I'm so sorry, but that made me laugh a lot.
So I can't remember. I don't know if he did it like on a regular basis. I remember specifically, it might have been the one where the actual governor showed up and they did that little shtick together. But remember, like right in the middle of update, he just walked in. Is that what you're referring to? Where he walked in front of the camera? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't know where he was. Couldn't get him off. And he's like, "I'm sorry. I am in so much trouble for that."
No, that was good. That was
really
good.
Did I miss anybody that you were thinking? We didn't talk about Opperman, but he was on the list for the other.
Yeah, and I think retrospectively, looking back, Sandler's, he's good, but he's not necessarily like on my top list. But I thought for sure, man, that you would list. We talked about Jebediah Atkinson. I thought you were Jebediah Atkinson.
Oh, I am. Yeah. Jebediah's got to be on that list.
Because he was one for me, because you mentioned him last time. Then I went, I searched through some videos, and I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about Jebediah.
Atkinson. Oh, gee whiz, yeah. See, that's so hard. This is really even harder than the cast members, because you have one cast member doing like 3 great characters. You have to pick one.
Right.
Jebediah should have been on there. You're right. David Spade's Celebrity Minute, I thought about that for a while.
That's a good one.
How spectacular that was, and how much I look forward to seeing that, especially when the time Steve Martin infiltrated it, which was really funny.
Oh, I don't remember that one, dude.
Oh, yeah. He sat down, and there's a picture of David Spade, and he goes, "Hi, I'm a meager little poor soul that likes to make fun of people."
All I remember is the one that kind of put the nail in the coffin for him and started this whole Eddie Murphy feud was, look, children, a falling star.
Make a wish, yes.
Make a wish, yeah, make a wish, a falling star.
Yep.
And I remember seeing that when it aired, too, so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are some great update characters, great update hosts. Just a lot of history there with Weekend Update. It's become a staple on the show. They even spun off one season a couple years ago, and they did the summer. They did just a Weekend Update. I love Che and Yost and the job they're doing. They've grown into their positions really well, and I think if we did this list 20 years from now, they may have made our top 5. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe. Hey, do you hear that?
I don't hear anything.
You don't hear the music?
Nope.
Okay, well, trust me, it's music. Hey, the band's playing us out. Trust me, they are. But we still have just a little time. And was this a lot of fun? Did you enjoy yourself, JoJo?
I always have a great time. I'd probably enjoy myself even more if you came with the list every now and then. But that's just a suggestion.
Hey, before we go, can I share a Denis story? You kept bringing that up. My friend in high school, he had my birthday listed on his calendar, and he was in a hurry, and the D had a little extra tail on the bottom, and so yeah, so I was called Denis for a while. But anyway, thanks for calling me that tonight. And hey, it is fun to talk about this show. We hope that you all enjoyed thinking about Saturday Night Live as well. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on our list, on their list. Make your own list. Let's talk about this. We look forward to another fine episode of Saturday Night Review real soon. But until when, he's still Joseph.
And he's still Denis.
For now. And we are out of here.